Ah, look what just happened. Look at the screen. Look at the faces. Look at the silence that just swallowed the room whole. Every single lie they told about you, every twisted narrative they sold, every poisoned word they whispered in the dark just got broadcasted in surround sound with their names attached. The universe didn't just expose them. It created a premiere, a red carpet event, a documentary screening where they're the villains, the fools, and the punchline all at once. And you beautiful vindicated soul, you're watching from the balcony with popcorn made of their regret. Welcome to the moment they prayed would never come. Welcome to the reckoning they can't rewind, delete, or deny. Because this isn't karma. This is cosmic justice with receipts, timestamps, and witnesses who can't unsee what they just saw. Let's rewind for a second so you can taste this properly. For months, maybe years, they sat in circles, in group chats, in coffee shops, and spun stories about you like they were novelists. They painted you as the problem, the toxic one, the manipulator, the liar, the crazy one, the jealous one, the bitter one. They made you the villain in a story you didn't even know you were in. And the worst part? People believed them. Not because the lies were convincing. No, because they were louder than your silence. Because you chose dignity over defense. Because you refused to drag your truth through the mud just to compete with their fiction. You walked away. You healed quietly. You rebuilt in private. And they took that silence and filled it with their poison. But here's the thing about lies. They have a shelf life. They rot. They fester. They eventually betray the liars who birthed them. And the universe? The universe doesn't forget. It doesn't rush either. It waits. It watches. It collects evidence while they get comfortable, while they think they got away with it, while they sleep soundly, believing their version of the story is the only one that matters. And then, when the moment is perfectly ripe, when the stage is set, when the audience is watching, the universe hits play. And every single lie they told about you gets exposed, not in whispers, but in headlines. Not in rumors, but in undeniable truth. Not to a few people, but to everyone who ever doubted you. Imagine their faces right now. Go ahead, close your eyes and see it. The color draining, the jaw tightening, the eyes darting around looking for an exit that doesn't exist. They're standing in the wreckage of their own creation, and there's nowhere to run. No explanation that sounds believable. No excuse that doesn't sound like another lie. Because the truth didn't just leak, it flooded. It drowned every narrative they built. Every alliance they formed on the foundation of your fake downfall just crumbled. And now they're the ones scrambling. They're the ones exposed. They're the ones everyone is looking at with that look, that knowing look, that look that says, we see you now and we can't unsee it. You didn't have to say a word. You didn't have to defend yourself. You didn't have to scream your innocence from the rooftops or beg people to believe you. You just had to exist. You just had to keep your integrity intact. You just had to trust that lies, no matter how loud, can't survive in the presence of truth for long. And you were right. The universe became your lawyer, your witness, your jury, and your judge. And the verdict? Guilty. Not you, them. Guilty of slander, guilty of projection, guilty of destroying someone's name to protect their own image. And now the sentence is public humiliation, permanent credibility loss, and the lifelong knowledge that they were exposed not by you but by their own karma. Let's talk about what they're feeling right now, because this is the sweet part. Panic. Pure, unfiltered panic. The kind that makes your stomach flip. The kind that keeps you up at night replaying every lie you told, wondering who else knows. They're scrolling through old messages, trying to remember what they said to who. They're calculating how much damage control they need to do. They're crafting apologies that sound hollow even to themselves. They're reaching out to people trying to spin a new story to cover the old one, but it's too late. The truth already went viral. The screenshots already circulated. The proof already made its rounds. And now they're stuck in the aftermath of their own betrayal with no one to blame but themselves. And the people who believe them, oh, they're feeling it too. That sickening realization that they were used, that they became pawns in someone else's psychological warfare, that they contributed to your suffering based on lies they never fact-checked. Some of them are feeling guilty, some are angry at themselves, some are wondering how they could have been so blind. And a few, the real ones, are reaching out with apologies that feel too little too late, but at least they're awake now. At least they see you clearly now. At least they know that when you walked away from them, you weren't abandoning anyone. You were protecting yourself from people who chose fiction over friendship. But here's what makes this moment truly nuclear. You're not even celebrating. You're not rubbing it in their faces. You're not doing a victory lap on social media. You're not even watching the chaos unfold with satisfaction. You're just existing. You're just living. You're just continuing the life you rebuilt when they tried to destroy it. And that is the most powerful response you could ever give, because it shows that their opinion of you was never the foundation of your worth. Their lies were never strong enough to crack your truth. Their betrayal was never deep enough to make you betray yourself. You survived them. You outlived their narratives. You became proof that no amount of slander can destroy a soul that knows its own value. Let's get forensic for a second. Let's break down exactly how they built these lies, because understanding the architecture of their betrayal makes this victory even sweeter. First, they started small. A comment here, a subtle dig there. Nothing overt, nothing you could confront directly. Just tiny seeds of doubt planted in conversations you weren't part of. They'd say things like, "I'm worried about them," or "I don't know what's going on with them lately," or "They're not who they used to be." Vague, concerned, disguised as care. But really, it was the groundwork, the foundation of a house of cards they were about to build on your name. Then they escalated. They started twisting your actions, your words, your intentions. If you were quiet, you were cold. If you were expressive, you were dramatic. If you set boundaries, you were controlling. If you forgave, you were weak. If you walked away, you were a coward. They weaponized every choice you made against you. They turned your healing into evidence of your toxicity. They framed your growth as proof of your guilt. And the scariest part? They believed it. They repeated the lies so many times they forgot they were lies. They became convinced that their version of you was the real you, that their fiction was fact, that their narrative was the truth. And they didn't do this alone. No, they recruited. They found people who didn't know you well enough to question the stories, people who were already jealous of you, people who wanted a villain to rally against. They built an army of believers, a cult of your character assassination, and they marched together spreading the poison like it was gospel. They bonded over hating you. They built friendships on the foundation of your fake downfall. They created entire group chats dedicated to dissecting your every move, your every post, your every breath. You became their entertainment, their obsession, their twisted sense of purpose, and the whole time they called it concern. But the universe saw it all. Every screenshot they took, every conversation they had, every lie they laughed about. The universe doesn't miss details. It doesn't take sides. It doesn't play favorites. It just watches. And when the time is right, when the scales need balancing, when the truth needs to breathe, it releases everything. And that's exactly what just happened. The universe didn't just expose them. It archived their betrayal. It time-stamped their lies. It gave context to their cruelty. And now everyone who ever heard their version of you gets to see the receipts, the real story, the truth they tried to bury under a mountain of manipulation. You know what the best part is? They can't call you petty. They can't say you're seeking revenge. They can't accuse you of dragging them because you didn't do anything. You didn't expose them. The universe did. You didn't collect the receipts. Reality did. You didn't ruin their reputation. Their own actions did. And that's the kind of justice that hits different. That's the kind of vindication that doesn't need your fingerprints on it. That's the kind of karma that's so clean, so pure, so undeniable that even they can't twist it into another lie about you. They're just stuck standing in the truth they tried so hard to hide. Now let's talk about the aftermath, because this is where the real transformation happens. The exposure isn't just about them getting caught. It's about you being freed. For so long, you carried the weight of their lies. You felt the heaviness of being misunderstood. You questioned yourself, wondering if maybe they were right. Maybe you were the problem. Maybe you were the toxic one. Maybe you deserved the isolation, the betrayal, the pain. And even though deep down you knew the truth, there were moments, dark moments, where their voices got louder than your own, where their lies almost convinced you they were real. But now you have proof, not just for them, not just for the people who believed them, but for yourself. You have confirmation that your intuition was correct, that your gut was right, that your decision to walk away was the healthiest choice you ever made. You're not crazy, you're not paranoid, you're not sensitive or dramatic or any of the labels they tried to brand you with. You're awake, you're aware, you're someone who chose truth over comfort, integrity over acceptance, and self-respect over people-pleasing. And the universe just validated every single choice you made. The people watching this unfold are learning something too. They're learning that silence doesn't mean guilt, that walking away doesn't mean weakness, that refusing to defend yourself doesn't mean the accusations are true. They're learning that real power isn't in the loudest voice, it's in the clearest conscience. It's in the person who can sleep at night knowing they didn't lie, didn't manipulate, didn't destroy someone's name to protect their own. They're learning that you can survive a public execution of your character and still come out the other side with your soul intact. And that lesson? That's the ripple effect. That's the legacy of this moment. But let's not romanticize this too much. Let's keep it raw. Let's keep it real. Because even though this moment is sweet, even though this vindication feels like oxygen after suffocating for so long, it doesn't erase the pain they caused. It doesn't undo the nights you cried yourself to sleep. It doesn't rewind the moments you felt so alone, so misunderstood, so abandoned by people who claimed to love you. It doesn't erase the trauma of being lied on, lied about, and left to defend yourself against an invisible army. The exposure is justice, but it's not healing. The healing is something you already did, alone, in silence, without an audience, without applause, without anyone knowing how hard you fought to keep your sanity, your peace, your belief in yourself. That's why this moment is yours. Not because you caused it, but because you survived long enough to see it. You didn't give up when it would have been easier to disappear. You didn't let their lies become your identity. You didn't internalize their poison. You kept going. You kept healing. You kept choosing yourself even when the world chose their version of you. And now the world is correcting itself. Now the narrative is flipping. Now the truth is louder than the lies, and you're still standing, not because you needed vindication to survive, but because you survived long enough to witness the vindication. Let's talk about what happens next, because this is where the power shift becomes permanent. They're going to try to recover. They're going to try to spin this. They're going to post cryptic messages about growth, change, accountability. They're going to say they've learned, they've evolved, they were going through something. They're going to attempt to rewrite themselves as the victim of their own lies. They're going to try to gain sympathy by admitting fault in the most palatable way possible. And some people, the ones who don't know better, might buy it, might give them grace, might say everyone makes mistakes. But you know better. You know that real accountability doesn't come with excuses. Real remorse doesn't come with conditions. Real change doesn't announce itself on social media. Real growth happens in the dark, in the uncomfortable, in the private reckoning with the mirror. And you'll know whether they're truly sorry or just sorry they got caught by one thing. Whether they reach out to you. Not publicly, not performatively, but privately, humbly, without expecting forgiveness, without asking for anything in return, just to say, I was wrong, I hurt you, I lied, and I'm sorry. If that message never comes, you have your answer. They're not sorry for what they did. They're sorry the world found out. And here's the thing. You don't owe them forgiveness. You don't owe them a second chance. You don't owe them a conversation. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them anything. The universe exposed them not so you could reconcile, but so you could be free. Free from the weight of wondering if you were the problem. Free from the confusion of being gaslit into doubting your own reality. Free from the invisible chains of their judgment. The exposure isn't an invitation to let them back in. It's permission to lock the door permanently, knowing you were right to leave in the first place. Some of them are going to try to come back. They're going to test the waters, send a casual message, like an old post, comment something neutral. They're going to act like nothing happened, like the lies never existed, like the betrayal was a misunderstanding. And they're going to hope you're the same person you were before, the person who gave endless chances, the person who forgave without accountability, the person who prioritized peace over self-respect. But you're not that person anymore. You're the version of you that survived their betrayal. And that version doesn't let snakes back into the garden no matter how much they claim they've shed their skin. Others are going to avoid you forever. They're going to see you in public and look the other way. They're going to mute you online. They're going to pretend you don't exist because facing you means facing their shame. And honestly, that's fine. That's perfect. Because you don't need their apology to move forward. You don't need their acknowledgement to validate your truth. You don't need them to admit they were wrong for you to know you were right. Their avoidance is its own confession. Their silence is its own admission. And you can live beautifully in the truth while they suffocate in the lie they created. And then there's the rare few, the ones who genuinely didn't know, the ones who were fed lies and believed them because they trusted the source, the ones who are horrified now that they see the full picture. They're going to reach out with real apologies, real remorse, real shame for contributing to your pain. And you get to decide what to do with that. You get to decide if their apology is enough, if the relationship is worth rebuilding, if the trust can be restored. And whatever you decide, it's valid. Forgiveness is not a requirement, it's a choice. And you get to make it on your terms, your timeline, your conditions. But let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture, because this moment isn't just about individual people. It's about energy. It's about the fact that the universe doesn't tolerate imbalance forever. It doesn't let injustice run wild indefinitely. It watches. It waits. It lets people dig their own graves with their own lies. And then, when the time is right, when the lesson needs to be taught, when the scales need to balance, it intervenes. Not with drama, not with chaos, but with undeniable truth. And that's what just happened to you. The universe intervened on your behalf because your energy, your truth, your integrity was too valuable to stay buried under their lies. You're not special because you were vindicated. You're special because you stayed true to yourself even when the world believed the lies. You're special because you chose healing over bitterness. You're special because you didn't become what they accused you of being. You're special because you walked through the fire and came out still smiling, still kind, still human. That's rare. That's powerful. That's the kind of energy the universe protects. Not because you're perfect, but because you're pure in intention, because you're honest in your dealings, because you value truth over convenience. And the universe? The universe rewards that. Maybe not on your timeline, but always on the right timeline. This moment is also a message to everyone watching, everyone who stayed silent when they should have spoken up, everyone who chose comfort over courage, everyone who believed the lies without asking questions. They're learning right now that neutrality in the face of injustice is complicity, that silence isn't safety, that choosing not to take sides is still taking a side. They're learning that the easy path isn't always the right path, that popularity isn't the same as integrity, that being liked isn't the same as being respected. And some of them are going to carry this lesson forward. Some of them are going to be better because of this. Some of them are going to think twice before believing the next lie, before joining the next mob, before participating in the next public execution of someone's character. But you already knew all of this. You learned it the hard way. You learned it in the trenches of betrayal. You learned it in the loneliness of being misunderstood. You learned it in the painful process of choosing yourself when everyone else chose the lie. And now you get to stand in the validation of that choice. You get to breathe in the relief of being seen, being heard, being believed finally. You get to look back at the version of you that survived the worst of it and say thank you. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for not becoming bitter. Thank you for trusting that the truth would surface eventually. Thank you for holding on when letting go felt easier. Let's talk about the shift that's happening right now in real time. Your reputation isn't being rebuilt, it's being restored. There's a difference. Rebuilding implies it was broken, but it wasn't. It was buried. It was hidden under layers of lies, manipulation, and slander. But it was never broken. Your character was always intact. Your integrity was always solid. Your truth was always true. The exposure didn't fix you. It uncovered you. It removed the debris they piled on top of your name. It cleared the fog they created around your image. And now people are seeing you clearly. Not the distorted version they sold, but the real version you always were. And for those who knew you, really knew you, this isn't a shock, this is confirmation. They always sensed something was off about the narrative. They always felt like the pieces didn't fit. They always wondered why the person they knew didn't match the person being described. And now they have their answer. Now they can trust their intuition again. Now they can reconcile the dissonance they felt. And their loyalty to you, it's going to deepen. Because they chose to believe in you when it wasn't popular. They chose to stand by you when it wasn't easy. They chose your truth over the lies. And that kind of loyalty is rare. That kind of friendship is priceless. Hold those people close. They're the real ones.